to help you understand our proposal, I'd like to begin my presentation by showing you a short film that'll give you some of the background of the current highway program.
Highways are the lifeline of America. The seemingly mundane and nondescript stretches of road connect millions of Americans to each other. The interstate highway system, a marvel of engineering and a symbol of progress, has transformed the way we travel and shaped the landscape of America. You can drive from New York to Seattle or from Los Angeles to Boston simply by getting in your car and driving on the interstate. But this wasn't always the case. How did this seemingly endless network of highways come to be?
More and more and more cars. More on our roads than last year. And there'll be more next year. And the year after that, more and more cars will be built and more cars will be bought. And every one of them will be entitled to room.
This was the problem America faced after World War II. The manufacturing boom during the war meant that after the war, factories would have to switch from making tanks and planes for the military to making cars for the general public. Cars, already having been popularized by Henry Ford and his Model T in the 1920s, represented core American values such as personal freedom and the ability to go wherever and whenever you wanted. But this sudden surge of cars was going to overwhelm the nation's existing road networks, which were in various states of repair and were already decades old at this point. President Dwight Eisenhower foresaw this in the 1950s, and he had a plan.
President Eisenhower's militant call for a grand plan to provide a modern, controlled access highway system for safe, efficient transcontinental travel led to the passage of the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956. He dramatically underscored the fact that our interstate road network is inadequate locally and obsolete nationally. The President has led the way to positive action. Public road engineers have long been making plans to meet the growing emergency of highway obsolescence. They have worked with scientific detachment to create the interstate highway system that we need today and must have in the future.
Although Eisenhower is credited with the creation of the interstate highway system, many American cities and states already had highways by the time the Federal Highway Act was passed in 1956, such as the New Jersey Turnpike, which opened in 1951. Many people were responsible for the creation and planning of highways all around America, but no man was more actively involved in highway planning for his own city than this guy.
I am privileged to present the winner of the Grand National Award, Robert Moses of New York.
Robert Moses, New York City construction coordinator, is a world-famous highway planner, a man who knows his business.
Robert Moses is undoubtedly one of the most controversial and polarizing figures in New York City history. While he was responsible for many of the highways that New Yorkers rely on for daily travel, as well as the establishment of hundreds of public parks across the city, his overemphasis on car-based transportation turned New York into one of the most car-congested cities in the world. What's more, he built his highways through minority neighborhoods, destroying predominantly black communities for the benefit of white people who could afford cars. Yet his works, such as the Cross-Bronx Expressway and the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway, connected New York across its 5 boroughs, leaving behind some marvels of engineering.
The Gowanus Expressway speeds over a densely populated area of Brooklyn without disturbing life below, to deliver through traffic to the underwater tunnel to Manhattan. Connecting from the north, a 4-story street will soon be open, with promenade for pedestrians on top, local traffic on the bottom, and 2 one-way expressways in between.
Here is 4-story proof that our modern highway planners, with imagination and public support, can solve our traffic problems.
Unlike Moses' highways, which cut through the middle of neighborhoods, the interstate highways were meant to bypass cities and towns with the goal of alleviating traffic and connecting to a broader highway network. but these bypassed towns would lose much of their business, as people would no longer be forced to pass through town centers on their journeys.
This town was made what it is because of the highway running through it. I don't think anybody can deny that. Route 110 brought people into town to shop and to market their farm goods. Of course, none of us ever got rich, but most of us are right comfortable. Now the state comes along and wants to build a bigger and better Route 110. And instead of bringing it through Connersville, where it'll do the most good, they want to go chopping up a lot of farmland outside of the town to fix it so that people won't have to come to Connersville. I say that's wrong. I say the road should come through town the way it's always done.
This also meant once important highways would no longer be utilized, and many fell into disrepair and were even abandoned. The most famous example of this is the legendary Route 66, parts of which were abandoned as they were bypassed by the new interstates. But despite these controversies, the interstate highway system has been called the greatest civil engineering project in American history due to its scope and impact, profoundly changing the way we travel and connecting the nation.